Hey all you beautiful souls, just enjoying the beautiful day out on my kayak here. Put my shades back on, it's a little glare off the water, okay. I just wanted to make this video about trust and to trust in the bullshit in life and how that bullshit can be turned into fertilizer, and to try and explain what I mean. I've had a lot of bullshit going on lately, and I haven't been suppressing my emotions at all. I felt the sadness, the pain. Gotta go there, but not to get stuck in the bullshit. And I'm I'm loving life, and I have joy every day I wake up, joy and gratitude. So if two stories that I'll try and quickly talk about. First off, I guess there are some things in life that are bullshit that I'm still trying to understand and trust in. Some things in the past that would be too long of a story, as stuff has happened where I didn't realize to maybe a year later why that bullshit happened. And it was actually for my greater good in the long run. And so the two stories are a lot more immediate kind of examples. The first was when I was in Glendale, Arizona a year or two ago. I was just camping out in the mountains and in the desert for about a month by myself out there, and I was just going to Cabela's in Glendale to get a couple last things that I didn't have. So strange enough, when I was walking through the door, the automatic sliding doors, right then I felt something and I hit it and didn't do the right thing. I pulled it off and squeezed all the venom into my neck, and sure enough, then I threw it on the floor, and it hurt. It hurt quite a bit. It was a powerful sting that bee gave me. And funny enough, the guy working the door, the Cabela's greeter, or guy that you asked for information, he was right there, and he looked at the bee and said, "Hey, you just got stung by a killer bee." And he looked a little perplexed why there was a killer bee there. Like, they had never seen him around the store anyways. And so that took me by surprise, and it was a big welt, and it was itchy, and it was there for over a week. Just this big welt, super itchy. And I'm from Canada. I thought I prepared for the scorpions, the snakes, all the things I thought of, but I didn't think of killer bees. And so he told me to get a no-see-em mask, so if I'm climbing in the mountains and I get attacked, at least they can't get my face and neck as much anyway. And for people that aren't aware of killer bees, they don't kill you with their stings. Like, you can die, but usually it takes over 1,000 stings, which can actually pretty easily happen if there's a lot of them. But they're just super aggressive. They chase you, I believe it's for over a mile, where normal bees aren't that aggressive. They're only territorial. These guys are just aggressive if you make sound. So if you want to Google and the killer bees, because that's what I did after. So I got the stuff from Cabela's that I needed for killer bees, and then I Googled it and learned about killer bees. I didn't plan on that for my trip. Anyway, I was kind of pissed off that I got stung by a bee. And because it was this big welt and it was just itchy as hell. And so it was the next day, I was climbing in the White Tank Mountains outside Phoenix. I was by myself, and I was about to get to the summit. I was maybe 40 to 60 feet away from the summit of the mountain. And I noticed in the cliff there was a crevice with hundreds and hundreds of killer bees. It was probably only about 6-7 feet above me. And even now that I was familiar with them, and that most people actually die from running away or trying to get away because they chase you and falling down mountains. And here I was in that predicament. But a part of me still wanted to try and just ease my way around, so I climbed even a little closer, and then my gut was like, stop, turn around, slowly, don't make any vibrations. So I slowly left, because I still wanted to reach that summit. it's just in my nature, I guess. And so with the knowledge of killer bees now clearly in my mind from the night before, looking up all the stories of people dying from falling down mountains because killer bees, I was very cautious on my way down. I didn't make any noise, and I slowly, because I was at a very steep section of the mountain, and thank God I didn't get stung. And so I didn't get to make the summit of the mountain that day. But after, I just realized that, you know what, God sent that bee for me to be stung by in Cabela's, because if I didn't get stung by the bee the day before, I would have kept climbing for sure. And there was a good chance I would have died on that section of mountain. It was just all rocks, not many good places for footing, and there was hundreds and hundreds of killer bees. So knowing the sting of just one, if I was getting stung by hundreds, I would definitely be probably trying to run. It wouldn't have been good. And so I'm just so grateful for being stung by that killer bee in Glendale, Arizona, instead of in the White Tank Mountains. And so that was bullshit when it happened. So that's what I mean by just trusting in the bullshit of life. It was just, at the time I was just annoyed. I wasn't making a huge deal of it, but it was just itchy as hell. And I was like, why? Come on, like, why me? In Cabela's parking lot, the guy said there's never even bees around here, killer bees, and just happens to get me. But God, the universe, showed me the next day why, and I was just so grateful for that one bee sting. And for the rest of my trip, having that knowledge and that awareness. And so anytime I go back to the desert or the Southwest, I'm prepared for killer bees as well now. The other story just happened the other day, actually. I have a little boy. I love the little guy, and he got attacked by a big dog. It was a big St. Bernard Lab Cross, and I didn't even know there was a dog around when we were at this place. It was kind of like a garage sale type of thing, and I had no knowledge of a dog even being in the area. All of a sudden, your son's been attacked by a dog. I come out, my son's bleeding through his jeans, crying his head off, and it was bullshit. I was pissed off. I love animals. I wanted to kick that dog in the head. I wanted to kick the owner in the head more. He was being pretty ignorant. That's another story. But I knew that wouldn't help the situation. And so I took my son in my arms. I took him around to have some privacy, to take his pants off and to stop the bleeding. He had 3 bites, one above his butt, on his back, one right on his thigh, inside the leg. That was the worst one. It was very deep. And then one on a minor one on his arm. And so that was bullshit. And the thing I realized, though, the night before, we were staying in a hotel because we were out of town. And this happened in a different province, actually. And I couldn't get sleep in this hotel room. To me it was bullshit. I like to get sleep. It's nice. I like rest. And I like to get at least 6-8 hours. And I maybe got 4 or 5. I just couldn't fall asleep. And so we were spending 2 nights. So the second night, it was like 1 a.m. There was a Shoppers Drug Mart across the street, a store. So I was like, I'm gonna go get some earplugs. And I was traveling. Saul's grandma was there as well, and she wanted some cotton pads to remove makeup. So I said I'd get her some. And then Saul, my little guy, he complained of having an earache. And so I looked at his ear, and I was like, I'm gonna get him something too. So all the last minute, just because I wanted earplugs, I thought it was bullshit I didn't get any sleep. Now I realize why I didn't get any sleep. It's for the next night to go get those earplugs. And I looked for some Highlands homeopathic stuff for his ear. They didn't have it. So I ended up getting some Advil. And I knew it was more than anything just for a placebo, to give him some medicine to make him feel better. Because I know there was some stress going on. And anyway, so I got those earplugs. I had a good night's sleep. Gave him some of the medicine. It was good. Had those cotton pads. It's all good. So the next day when he got attacked by this dog, I always have stuff in my own toiletry thing, like tea tree oil, aloe, some witch hazel stuff, so I was able to disinfect it right there, treat his wound. Those cotton pads came in handy to stop the bleeding, and he was in so much pain that Advil came in a lot. It was God-given. Like, it's still bullshit. I'm not minimizing what happened, but I was just so grateful that God had prepared me the night before to have those cotton pads to treat his wound, and to have that Advil to soothe his pain. And you never want to see your boy in that much pain, but he did awesome. And I'm just so grateful that the bite wasn't on the face, or it didn't hit his artery, because it was super close to a main artery in the leg. It could have been spurting everywhere. It's a bad bite. Not trying to minimize it, but it could have been a lot worse if the dog would have went for his privates or his face or an artery. Like, it could have been a lot worse. And I'm just so grateful that, you know, that bullshit of me not getting sleep did not matter. I would go an all-nighter to be able to have those supplies that I was blessed to have at that time to treat his wounds and to treat his pain. And so it's the bullshit in life that we just gotta trust sometimes, because it's hard. And those are two examples of the very next day I understood. So that's why I'm using those, because sometimes there's bullshit that's happened over 2 years ago I'm still trying to understand. I'm just trusting in it. And I know that I'm not gonna get stuck in that bullshit. I'm gonna use that bullshit to fertilize trust. So that's what it's there for. So I guess what I'm trying to say to anyone out there going through bullshit, just to trust that there's a reason for it. Even if it's not clear right away or the next day, there's always a reason why we go through these things. And bullshit's not fun. I'm not trying to say to be, this isn't about positive thinking, this is about trust. That the universe is conspiring for our greater good. And even when things that are painful and full of suffering, there's a silver lining there somewhere. There is a reason why. And to not feel like a victim and why is this bullshit happening to me, just to realize that, okay, I don't know sometimes why bullshit happens. I don't know everything, no one does. But to trust that it's gonna be okay. And just in daily life, say if you miss your plane, not to be pissed off about missing your flight. Like that stress and that anxiety, like just trust. I'm not saying that plane's gonna crash, but there may be a reason you're not supposed to be on that plane. Whatever it may be. If you got into a little fender bender, don't let it ruin your whole day. That little fender bender, who knows? It may be saving you from a huge collision that was up ahead. So, the bullshit in life sucks. Like, I wish my son didn't get attacked by a dog. He's still in pain. Like, it's still healing. This was just a few days ago. But I've been treating it, changing the bandages every day, and there's no infection spreading, and he's doing good, and maybe it will save him, because he used to think all dogs were friendly, and this really taught him that not all dogs are friendly. And I'm not blaming him, or I wish this never happened, but who knows, maybe in the future this may save him from an even more vicious dog. I don't know. But it's bullshit. But I just gotta trust in it. And thankfully he's not afraid of dogs after that happened. I do some energy work, dealing with the subconscious and EFT. So I did some tapping on him while we were on the way to the hospital after, because he was going into shock. And it just continues to amaze me how just tapping, he didn't even understand he's tapping on the points. He didn't understand it, but I just saw him the nervous system that calmed down, and he didn't go into shock, and I told him to keep crying, cry it out. But it was soothed. So I know that I'm just so grateful that he's not traumatized too much, and there may be some work to do there, but he still loves dogs, he's not afraid of dogs, and it was just bullshit. And yeah, what could I say? Besides, I'm gonna repeat again, trust in the bullshit of life, and don't go into victim mode, why me? You could ask those questions, but just don't get stuck in that shit, and realize that that bullshit could be used as fertilizer for the seeds of faith and the growth and the trust in this universe. And the more that we trust, even when stuff doesn't go our way, the less stressed we'll be, because stress is a waste of time, and stress is really just fear. And so it's not helping anyone. So like I say, get out of stress mode, get back to blessed mode, just be grateful. Even the bullshit in life has its reasons. And if you're going through it, I'm not trying to minimize it at all. It's just there is hope. Don't deny what's happening. Feel those emotions, whether it's sadness, pain, anger. Process that shit. Just don't get stuck in it. So we're all humans. We're supposed to feel it. But a lot of times we get stuck in it and let it take away the joy that's always available to us. Well, it is what we are, is love and joy. So anyways, have a great day. I'm gonna keep going on my kayak here. Much love. Peace.